Hey guys, happy Friday. Hope everyone's fantastic. I wanted to do a video today about the power of decision. Um, this is something that comes up so often with clients and friends and family, and it's just one of those powerful things that I felt needed to be talked about. Everything in my life has come about as a result of making a decision, and probably the same for you. And making decisions is the single most challenging thing to do in life, especially as we get older, because we get more stuck in our routines and our patterns of thoughts and behaviors. And we never really stop to question why we're not advancing the way we want to. Sure, we have lots of wants and lots of shoulds and I wish kind of, bucket list items or things in our lives that we would like to do. But the reason we don't do them and they remain wishes is because we never make a committed decision. And when you do make a decision, successful people make them quickly and they stick with them, whereas unsuccessful people just procrastinate or they do what I like to refer to as being, they punt it. They do what I call a punt. They just, postpone that decision. And this can come up and show up in your life in a number of ways. It can show up and manifest in poor health, broken relationships, financial hardships, career and life dissatisfaction, lost potential, and one of our most finite resources, time. We don't have all the time in the world, guys. I always found it interesting when you become old enough and consciously aware to understand that, when you're 15 years old, I remember telling my son, hey, son, we get about, you're going to have another 60 summers, 60 summers. And he said, what do you mean, Dad? I said, well, if you live to 85, you get 60 summers. You're 15 now, so I'm letting you know, you got 60 more of these if all goes well, or maybe more if you're lucky. And just make the most of your time and make the most of your decisions, because if you don't make them, life can be pretty boring. It can be stagnant, and we're either growing or dying. So if you're unable to make a decision, I already know this about you. You're not going to be satisfied because you're either holding on to some dead weight from the past or you're a procrastinator because you're fearful. And it's okay to be fearful, but you need to have the courage to make a decision to do what you really want to do. I'm talking about anything. I'm talking about, like I said, getting your health in check or working on your relationship or spending time with your kids or making that career change or opening that business or investing the money in your business to grow it and see what you can do. But you're never going to do that if you can't make the decision. And decisions show up two ways. Typically, they show up, again, in the quality of your relationships. They show up in your checkbook and your calendar. And by that, I mean, if you really want to do something, you're going to calendarize it. You're going to put it in your schedule and you're going to do it. You're going to make that committed decision. And I'll share with you guys, it's been 16 months now. So I walked away from a 20-year business back in Ontario. I pulled my kids out of their school and my wife away from her family, and we left being close to my family as well. And we did it because we always had this dream about living on the West Coast in BC. And it's funny because when I talk to friends in Ontario and they say, hey, Chris, how did you do this? What was the thought process? What was the, thinking that went into it? And I kind of laugh and I say, you know what? There wasn't a lot of thinking, guys. And if I did go through, a spreadsheet or I did a pros and cons on this, I'd still be having this conversation about moving to BC with you back home in Ontario. Because the reality is, guys, if I looked into doctors and schools and where to live and all those things that go into that and the cost, I might have very well talked myself out of it. But guess what? None of that mattered. And the reason is because we wanted to come here and live our lives. And that's exactly what we did. We literally went to the back of the plane, jumped off without a parachute, and we figured out how to, make a safe landing and figure it out. And that has been an amazing part of this journey in the process. You don't have to have all the answers, guys. But if you make a decision and have faith and you're committed to it and you say, no matter what, this is what I really truly want to do, you're going to figure it out, and the universe will conspire to bring to you all the resources and the people and the things you need to make it work. And I can say, wholeheartedly that I have met some phenomenal people here. Some of the greatest people I've met have been in BC. I mean, I've just met some wonderful people who've become really quick friends, and I've really changed my life. And my kids are like, they're just growing and blossoming like crazy. My wife loves it out here. So for us, that was an amazing decision, and it was a life-changing decision. What could you do in your life? What decisions could you make today that would be so meaningful and impactful on you or your family members, your loved ones? Why aren't you doing it? Is it because of fear? Is it because of procrastination? Is it because of not knowing? Don't let those become barriers or obstacles to everything that you have in your potential, because you're really limiting your life, guys. You know, when my son was probably 12, I used to tell him when he would be fearful in his martial arts training or, you know, trying any new thing, I would say, son, you need to understand and learn this in life quickly, that the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. And he grasped onto that pretty quickly. And he knows that when he feels resistance or fear from anything in life, whether it's asking a girl out or going out for the team, you know, rugby team or football team, there's gonna be a little bit of fear, a little bit of anxiety. And he's learned that, hey, I expected this to be here. And there was no surprise when it showed up, but he knew enough to say, hey, I'm making a decision to do this, so I don't care what comes my way. I'm pushing through and I'm gonna get what I wanna get. And you know what? It's a really valuable lesson. And I hope it's one that this message resonates with you and touches you somewhere to finally examine what you're holding back on in your life. It could even be the fear of judgment or opinions of others, saying, who does so and so think? Who does that guy think he is to do that? Or, hey, he's not qualified, or they don't have the experience, or they're too old, or they're too young, or they're not educated. None of that matters, guys, because what other people think of you is none of your business. It's what you know to be true, and it's what you want to do with your life that matters most. So, you know, the very word decision comes from, it comes from Latin. It's I'm probably going to say this poorly, decidere. It means basically to cut off. And that means cut off all the reasons why you can't do something or the excuses. So don't punt things in your life. Don't procrastinate, because the last point I want to make on not making decisions is what that does to your mental well-being. Because let me use taxes as an example. If you haven't done your taxes for a couple of years and it starts to weigh heavy in your mind, well, the problem is it starts to fill mental space. It causes stress and anxiety, and you can't really enjoy anything else you're doing in your life because you're subconsciously distracted by that, or that conversation you didn't have with that loved one that you need to figure out, but you can't decide to sit down and do it. All of these things are going to limit your ability to put all your focus and mental energy into things that you need to be doing. So get really clear on why you do what you do, your purpose. And if you're feeling like you're limiting your potential because you're unable to make a decision due to a variety of things, maybe some of the things I talked about, maybe it's something else. Maybe it was a bad experience that happened to you 10 years ago, and you've let that lock you into a pattern of thinking and behaving that's just really stagnating your life. I want you to reach out to me. I want you to call me. It doesn't matter if it's mind, business, or money. Let's have a conversation about that. Let's chat about that, because you know, there'll be lots of questions, there'll be lots of insight. And the program I offer actually touches on all these things. It could be one thing, it could be multiple things. But I can assure you of this, it's gonna make you go deep. It's gonna have you confront and face the fears and the challenges and your deepest, darkest issues that you are not taking care of in your life. And we're gonna work on creating your best and highest version of yourself. I'm really passionate, guys, about working with other people to help them elevate their life. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars, and I've read countless books. You know, I'm surrounded by books, guys. I love my books. I read all the time. I get quotes. I get great insights and information, and that's one of the beautiful things. I mean, I'm reading The Pivot Year right now. I'm crushing away at this. You know, you've got to feed the mind, and you've got to open up your thinking, raise your awareness. So please reach out to me. I'll put my Calendly link below. Schedule a 30-minute conversation with me. It's strictly confidential. We'll have a great conversation. We'll put our chin strap on. We'll pull back the curtain, and we'll look at everything that's really happening, because you've got so much more potential than you know, and there's so much opportunity still waiting for you. So don't feel hopeless, don't feel stuck, and together we can work to change your story. Okay, guys, I hope you got something out of this video tonight. Please feel free to like and share, and I really look forward to talking to you soon. Make it an amazing weekend. We'll catch up with you soon. Thanks, guys. Cheers.